What's up, everybody? Today we're going to do a beginner's getting started guide for the forest, and I'm going to take you through the first couple days of gameplay here. The plane crash that you start the game off in, it's going to drop you in a random location, but the first thing we want to do is grab this axe here and loot everything we can inside this plane. And there'll be little trays with food. You want to eat those because you cannot pick those up. In this guide, we're going to find some of the most essential items early on and get you off to a good start. First thing we're going to do after we loot the surrounding area is go and get the modern axe. And I'm also going to show you how to build a houseboat. And then finally, we're going to go to one of my favorite base locations in the game. One of the safest locations. Let's jump down here. And if you look around, you're going to see a whole bunch of suitcases, and we're going to want to loot all of them. You can break them open with the axe if you want to, but it's a little bit quicker if we use a spear. So, you know what? Let me... let's get some sticks. So we'll put 2 sticks on here and then combine them. And that'll give us a spear. And then actually, I'm gonna... Okay. Just want to set my hotkeys real quick. Okay, so the spear I like to use just a little bit faster when we open up these, a tennis ball. I don't need that. Alright, so we ate that food. That kind of brought our health back a little bit. And we should be getting a whole bunch of meds, a whole bunch of energy bars and stuff from these suitcases. And these supplies will last us for the first few days, because if you play on normal mode, like I am, you get quite a few suitcases when you spawn in. The harder the difficulty you put the game on, the less items you start off with. So I'm going to take a minute or two and try to get everything I can here. And while you're looting, you want to take note of where the sun is. So the sun, much like in real life, rises in the east, sets in the west. So when you're first starting off, that's going to be helpful. So that's the east right there. The north should be this way. And we eventually, once we're done looting, we're going to want to head south, because we're going to look for a sailboat or a yacht, whatever you want to call it, that's crashed on the south part of the map. And that's going to be our starting area, at least for the first few days. Okay. Let's take another look around, make sure I didn't miss anything. Tons of deer around here, as you can see, but I'm not going to worry about hunting them just yet. We're going to do that very shortly. All right, so I'm pretty happy with the supplies I got. So that's the east. So we want to run with the sun on our left-hand side. So this should be the general direction we're looking for. And we want to run until we get to the water, until we see the wide open ocean. And I think I see it already. Yep. All right, so here I'm kind of in the southwest of the map. If you run and you start seeing the snowy mountains, so you look over there, you can see the white mountains over there covered in snow. That's going to be the north. So you want to run the opposite direction to that. But over here I see this big tree off on the peninsula, so on the other side of that is going to be the yacht that we're looking for. Okay, and if you look on the bottom right, we have our stats. So we have our health is the red bar, our thirst is the little water drop, our hunger is right next to that, and then the 2 blue bars, we have our stamina, which will quickly run down and regenerate. You see as I'm running there. And then our overall energy level is right above that. So we just picked up a cooking pot. So a lot of these different campsites will have cooking pots. Those are good to get. And you can also save your game too at a lot of these individual tents. All right, but inside the sailboat over here, we're going to have a bunch of items that are going to be helpful. It's also going to have a save point too. So if you wanted to save at this boat right here, this is a good place to do so. I wouldn't recommend really building a base in front of the yacht because as the days kind of go on, there is a lot of just say enemies that kind of will pass by here. Oh, we have a whole bunch more suitcases. For the sake of time, I'm going to hold off on looting those now because I want to go and get the modern axe as soon as possible. And I'm going to show you the easiest way to do that. A bunch, says so many suitcases, so many items when you first start off. But I'm going to save at the boat just in case I run into some trouble getting the modern axe. So we'll have to go into the caves to get it. And as you see here, there's a bunch of turtles that spawn as well. So that's going to give us meat as well as a turtle shell. And the turtle shell you can use to create a water collector. I'm going to swim over to this yacht. If you do swim over here, just be wary. Try not to swim all around it because there is a shark in these waters very close nearby. But if you swim from the shore right to here, you shouldn't have much trouble. And you'll want to run back here and pick up this rope. There's 2 ropes on the yacht right here. Actually, there's 3. So that is going to come in handy. And you'll want to loot every item on here. Whole bunch of bars, alcohol, and you can save here too. Not played this game in a while. Okay, let's save. Okay. So now we're saved, so if we die or whatever, we don't have to worry too much about it. And in this game, there's no real weight capacity, so you're never going to be slowed down by holding too much items, but you're going to max out at each item. So for example, with rope, you can only hold up to 4 at a time. So I'm actually going to put down the schematic for the houseboat over here and put the rope in there just so we can pick up more. Yeah, just so we can pick up more as we're going into the caves to get the modern axe. And this is where I'd recommend building the houseboat, just right here, because we have some trees we're going to knock down in a minute. So let's get our book out. And I'm going to find, let's see, the houseboat right here. And we're going to put that down. That looks good. Okay, so we're going to need 40 logs, sticks, and rope with that. Don't worry about chopping down the trees just yet. We're going to go and get some dynamite as we're getting the modern axe. And that's going to allow us to knock down those trees without really having to use much energy. Yeah, this is a really good area. There's tons of good items. I'm picking up there a bunch of useful plants. Okay, so from the sailboat, we want to run straight up past these rocks. And we're going to be looking for another pond up here. Just here. And we'll want to run straight past the pond over to that little village in the distance. Okay, I'm going to bring up my, let's drink one of these. Just because I want to keep my stamina up. And these little totem poles out here, these have some helpful items. There'll be a bunch of rags, and you'll want to pick up a skull. That's going to be helpful in a moment. And there are a bunch of more suitcases here. If you didn't find a campsite earlier, there is another pot right here, which is going to be helpful. But here, the Modern Axe entrance, you'll want to go right behind this village, and we'll have a cave entrance back here. Right here. So this is the first cave you'll probably want to go into. But before we go in, let's actually put this skull on here, put a stick on there, and we're going to craft this club. I'm going to combine those. Let's just put that on a hotkey real quick. The main reason we want to do this is, if you look on the stats on this club, the block is almost 100%. That's going to prevent us from taking too much damage. You can pretty much think of it like a shield. Whereas the plain axe, the block doesn't really do too much. All right, so get that out. Let's get our lighter out too. And the easiest way to get to the modern axe from here is just to hug the right wall. But you do want to be careful because there are two cannibals that are just inside here. And, I mean, you can fight them if you want to, but to be honest, I think I'm just going to kind of run past them. If you didn't find a skull before, you can hit this, and there's a skull right here. Yeah, I'm going to come back and fight these guys when I'm a little bit more well-equipped. So we have two guys right here. Let's run past them. And we're looking for this little part right here with the skull and with the rope, and we're going to go down this rope. And if you hold down the sprint button, it will allow you to kind of slide really fast down here. You don't want to press jump when you're on the rope because you'll literally jump off the rope and fall to your death, which I tend to do quite a lot. Okay, so now that we're at the bottom, we're at the bottom of the rope. You turn around, you'll want to go through this little passageway. And at the very end of it will be the modern axe. Right here. And actually, I'm going to do a little bit of reassigning. I don't really combine that. Actually... Okay. So I got my modern axe. So now that we have the modern axe, it's going to do a ton more damage. It's going to be easier to chop trees down with this. And while we're here, make sure you pick up as much dynamite as you can. You got arrows right here. Cloth is always... Cloth is one of the few items you can't really... I don't know if there's really a limit to how many you can hold, to be honest with you. But you want to take everything you possibly can. It's another rope there. Okay. And then that red paint we just picked up, that's gonna... If you look, that actually literally painted our skin red. And that's gonna stop certain enemies, mainly the minor enemies that are on the surface, from attacking us. But once we jump into the water or once we go out in the rain, it's gonna wash it off, so don't worry too much about it. So now that we've got the modern axe, I think I'm good on the caves for now. I'm gonna head back to the yacht we were just at. And once we reach the top of this rope, we'll want to hug the left wall to make our way out. That's the easiest way to get out. But once you loot and you get up, and you start getting better items, you start getting some armor, then I'd recommend coming back to the caves. Because in the caves, the enemies are much tougher, but they don't respawn. So once you kind of go through once and clear it all out, you don't really have to worry about it. So we're going to head back to the yacht, and we're going to start working on that houseboat. These guys are still up here giggling. Bunch of weirdos. Yeah, back up. Actually, you know what? Now that I have the red paint, they might not even bother me. Yeah. Okay, so hug the left wall. And that should take us just to where we started. And the cave exit. Yep, I can see daylight. Perfect. And you can see that hammer off in the distance. That's one of the schematics I put down. So whenever you start a blueprint, it's going to leave that little icon on the map for you. But otherwise, if you didn't put one of those down, just go out to the pond and follow that to the end. And let me just check, how many ropes do we have? We have 2 ropes. There's actually a couple more ropes up here. Let's actually grab a few more. And in this game, it's helpful to know whenever you save and exit and come back in, most of the loot is going to respawn. So for example, these ropes, if I saved and exited and came back, they're going to be there again. So you're never really going to run out of items. The only things that don't really respawn are most of the loot in those suitcases we opened. So keep that in mind. Okay, so back to where we started. Our hunger is getting a little bit low, so I'm going to be working off these energy bars and energy drinks for now. And there's not really a clock yet. So if you look, the sun is starting to set out there in the west. So it's going to get dark very shortly. If you run out of time, you can go onto the houseboat and sleep for the time being. Or you can build a little shelter right on the beach there. You shouldn't have much trouble for the first few days if you want to build a little encampment on the beach where those turtles were before. But here, let's go over. And we're going to finish up this sailboat very quickly. So what you want to do is find a nice little bulk of trees. So this one looks pretty good. And we'll go in here, get our dynamite out. And we're going to first light the dynamite and just place it on one of these trees. And we're going to run away. Well, you want to look. You want to look at the direction in which you want the trees to fall. So just look towards the houseboat and the trees will fall in that direction. And then grab a few, grab 2 at a time, and just drop them so they fall off the edge. Okay. This is kind of the way I start the game every time I play. Keep dropping them. Yeah, as you can see, we took down 1, 2, 3, 4, at least like 5 trees just with 1 stick of dynamite, and we still got 4 more sticks, so this is going to go pretty quickly. All right. And in this game, if you're on your houseboat and you're just like a few feet away from shore, no enemies can get to you. And eventually we'll be able to, we'll build a little bed in here, some water collectors, some drying racks for our food. So we'll be fully self-sufficient on here. But that being said, I am going to show you a base location on land that's also very safe. Not 100% safe, because if you're on land, there's always certain enemies that can get to you, especially as the days go on and on. But the houseboat is always going to be 100% safe. So this can be your backup plan. If you start getting frustrated, you can always go back to the houseboat. And the great thing about the houseboat as well is that it's mobile, obviously, so you can pretty much travel around the map and use that as your means to get around. It is a little bit slow, but you'll be able to put some storage on here if you need to offload items as you go. So we already have 22 out of the 40 logs. Sun's starting to set, but we should be able to get this done. Let's find another nice group of trees. This one, I'm kind of liking this right here. Let's grab our dynamite. Yeah, we should be able to get a whole bunch. So if you just back up, that's probably the best way to do it. Oh wow, I took off the one behind me too. Okay. Yeah, there's just more than enough logs. So we basically built our houseboat without swinging our axe a single time. See if we can get this done. Oh, you know what? It's getting kind of dark. I'm going to... Let's just finish this up real quick. The first few days, it's pretty laid back, especially at this part of the map. You shouldn't really have much trouble as far as getting attacked. If you start running around the map and building fires everywhere, you're gonna get attacked by enemies. It's gonna be a little bit tough. But this part is not... This area is not too bad. You take that. All right, 6 more. Okay, there we go. Then we got the houseboat built. But since it's pitch black out, let's actually go to sleep and get the daylight back. Right, you can build a little can build a temporary shelter right here on the beach if you want to, or you can go sleep on the boat. If you go sleep on the boat, the water's going to make you cold and wet, so it's a bit of a drawback, but you know what?